This is something I probably think about too often, and I know it seems arbitrary and no one really cares, but I've always tried to make a top 10 favorite games list, and I find myself struggling. Not because there aren't 10 games I love dearly, but because I don't know how to truly qualify a game as a favorite. Clearly the term favorites is inherently subjective, but I still feel like I'm choosing the wrong answers. I don't know why I feel like the list has to be completely 100% no regrets perfect. It sounds so silly. Like I should just know what games I like, right? I guess maybe I feel like the list should represent my taste in games and who I am as a video game player. I know I'm definitely overthinking it, but I can't help it. Should you consider the amount of time you've put into a game? I put hundreds of hours into Overwatch, but that doesn't really seem like it belongs in my personal top 10. Maybe because I'm thinking the list should be long-lasting, like definitive. Although I'm sure some of the best games I'll ever play are still ahead of me. Recently I've been playing Celeste for the first time, and I've only played like 10 hours of that game, but I love it. I could see it maybe cracking my top 25 if not higher. So I don't think that time played should matter too much when I'm picking favorites. Also, I can't even remember how much time I spent on a game when I was a kiddo. Time is weird that way. It feels like all I did back then was play games. That being said, a game that surely belongs on the list is actually one I've spent the most time playing. Tetris. I've been getting lost in my thoughts while playing Tetris for as long as I could remember. It's always been around, you know? I started playing it on Game Boy, and now I play it on the Switch. It's so simple, but it can only exist as a video game, you know what I mean? I don't even know what I mean, but plain old Tetris is a 10 out of 10 perfect game in my book. Now that has me thinking, should your top 10 game list only be what you would consider perfect games? It would make sense that only the best of the best make it on the list, right? But how many totally perfect games are there really? Can you honestly think of a truly flawless game? I guess it really shouldn't matter. For instance, Ocarina of Time isn't perfect by any means, but it's so many people's favorite game. In fact, most of the games that I love have a lot of problems. And that's okay. A great experience doesn't require great circumstances. I know Mortal Kombat 4 doesn't hold up, but I'm still gonna play it if I see it at an arcade. I'd consider Odyssey a perfect Mario game, but I'd still rather play Sunshine just because it amazed me when I was first playing it all those years ago. And also, I do think it's just a really fun game. I think the biggest impact on what we'd consider the best games comes from nostalgia. I think about nostalgia's effect on how we review video games a lot. So I'll probably be making a video on that when I'm able to put those thoughts into something cohesive, unlike the rest of these videos. When judging how good older games are, I try my best to look past how I remember them at the time. But I feel that good memories of a game are a very valid reason to add that game to the list. Maybe the best reason. It's like how our comfort foods are usually what we ate as children. Most of our favorite video games probably didn't just come out recently. They're most likely from our most impressionable years, whenever they may be. If you were born in the early 80s, your favorite games are probably 8 or 16-bit. And if you were born in the 2000s, then well, I have no idea what your favorites are, because the grand scope of video games has grown so much that you've always had a lot of genres to pick from. There's so much to think about when making a top 10 list. And there's all these random rules I make for myself, like how I think I should avoid putting multiple games from the same series. But that means I have to pick between A Link to the Past, Wind Waker, and Breath of the Wild. And I can't do that. I can't do that, you know? And I feel like I should have to have finished the game before putting it on the list. But that's not really necessary to enjoying something. I never beat Tetris. I've never even played through the story mode on a lot of games, but I still play the absolute heck out of them. And I didn't finish most of the games I played when I was younger, too. You think I conquered the world of Croc? Nah, games are hard when you're a dumb kid. I feel like a top 10 best games list would be easier, opposed to favorites. 10 worst, 10 best for a particular console, 10 best for the year, 10 hidden gems, tier lists, ranking a series' games. All of these would be easier for me than picking 10 favorites of all time. How do you do it? What are your top 10 favorite games? And how did you decide them? Let me know, I want to know. And thank you for getting through my little rant.